Alright. Where was I? Let's check some of the results first. Oh no, Tyler Glyle has... Everybody has started sniping the tutorial puzzles. Seriously. That was the one. Ugh. I don't feel like sniping this stuff. Maybe if I do a really small one, like the speed optimized, is just nah. Let's see. It's my smallest one. Really? That's my smallest one? Okay, I have a 10, the size 10 solution. Ta-da. And now I'm tied with everybody at the top of the leaderboard. Ta-da! That was not hard. And I don't feel like doing the speed optimized one. So that's mindless bullshit. Oh, god damn it. Man. Used to be I had like the sweet 38 here, and then next was like 65 or 67 or something, or 69 even. But then I had to... I did this, and then of course everybody was like, I gotta figure out how he does it. Now everybody has this. God damn it. Damn you! Yeah, this score used to be special, and now just everybody on my list has that. God damn it. Can I do a fast size optimized for the copies one? I don't remember what the task was. Find the customer database, append payment. That one was annoying because you had to actually get the real date. Had a small solution before that just grabbed date of the last transaction and copied that, which is slightly more convenient. XD, why here? Oh, that's a copy of shorter 2. Does this work? This one piercing. I don't know what I was doing with this. Yeah. That was an optimization somewhere that got rid of one exa. And yeah, I used to have a third exa, I think, to go over here. And then I checked whether I could instead make XC here go there. Grab the file, seek to the end, go to this room, grab the current date time. Wait, that works? That leaves the file sitting in a different room, for fuck's sake. Like, that counts as leaving. I'm now looking at the solution and I'm shocked I got away with this. Or does XC go back? XC does go back. Okay. That's like, really? I can just drop the file in a different room and that's okay? Because that seemed wrong. What do you do, XP? Grabs customer number and file 300 to X and wipes that file so I don't have to worry about it later. This here skips over everybody. Copies the wait. Oh no, I need the custom ID here in the scan loop. Otherwise it's like, why do I copy this into X only to copy it to M later? But I do need this. Yeah. How do I squeeze another cycle out of this? Oh, not cycle, instruction. The answer is I probably have to make it slower. This here I can't really do with a loop. None of this here is really... None of that's really loop-tastic. I have a third exa do this. I don't need to wipe it because this exa will never leave my that's not any smaller though. That's just the same size. really see how to squeeze another instruction out of here. Need to think about this. Seek to what? That needs to be in the loop. Oh, well, oh, you mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can just, oh yeah, that's the one. Since these are never valid custom IDs. That one makes it a lot slower though. But yep, thanks. But also, that actually saves 2. Because this means I end in the right position. That saves 2. Thanks for the hint, but in the future, please, no comments on the puzzles in the chat. Not for Exapunks or any Exapunks game. You're free to tell me if you think I'm missing something, but not what that something is. No spoilers. Yeah, that works. Just scanning for the tokens, since these are keywords and these are numbers, so they can actually never clash. So as far as such things go, this is not even completely horrible. It should just be a lot slower, yeah. You don't have to be sorry I didn't announce this beforehand, but yeah, be advised, like for the Zectronics games, I don't want any input unless I specifically ask for it. Ha! This one's still good. This one's still good. This one I looked at yesterday and I didn't have anything awesome. Do I have something smaller? What's my current smallest one? Is this one. This was just a tweak. I don't like that this doesn't get me to the screen anymore. I used to do that with other ones. Maybe smaller. All right. Actually, can do. Yes. So I can do, yeah, I can play some dirty pool here. And do this. Basically exact same idea. And that's enough to get me to 29. Same wonderful version control system. Copy, 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 yeah. I will name this the dirty pool since it is. So this is basically hard coding that just starts like 21 records from the end of the tape. Each of these is 3. So this is basically assuming that I hope whatever file we want is in the last 7 files on the tape. I could use something else, I suppose. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, this is glorious. This will be really, really slow. but it saves another 2 instructions. So like this is now just not even trying to seek to the end of the file. Since like in these files we just have pure numbers, 0 padding, and then at the end the directory. So the only things that are ever keywords in these files are these file names. So just like look for the first match with the keyword in the file, just from the beginning. The directories are not a consistent size. They are not. If you go over the test runs, sometimes they have like this one has 5 files in them. Sometimes they go, I think, up to 8 or so. You just try it experimentally. Like the -21 is one I tried earlier, like yesterday at some point. For something that was trying to be faster and it wasn't. But like they're not consistent size. You just basically start fudging the numbers until the test cases all pass. But like this is by far the dirtiest variant of that I've seen. But it's just like, yeah. For sniping size, this is pretty hard to beat, since now it's just not even seeking anymore. Hey, look, there's there's a big cluster here. I wonder if this cluster and this cluster are related. They might not be. That might just be a coincidence. It probably is, since I think there's way fewer people that go for the really, really small ones than there are. Like this is probably what you get for the easiest solution or something. I could try to go for faster here, but the faster stuff here, optimizing for speed for anything that mainly involves file copying is just tedious. If they involve other I/O, you can do fun things, but just file copying basically does in fact just boil down to unrolling and tweaking that out. It's just like, nah. So, hacking workhouse. No. Mentor sniped me by 1 cycle. I sniped Cypher Signal by 1 cycle, so there's that. But I do remember that the fast one was super. Wait. This is the fast one. I think it's really just a matter of tweaking out the exact right unroll to get that one faster. No, that's also, and if I do, is that in the part where it doesn't get fast anymore if I do more? Probably. Yeah. 10 is actually the optimal unroll amount, then it's not completely trivial. Okay. That's exactly the stuff I mean though, with like yeah, so like this does 220 now again, should be. Yes. I have an idea of how to make it way smaller though. Yup. Same thing. Like we just assume that the passwords here that we completely ignore, like that nobody has a username that matches with a password, which I'm not sure if that'll work, but it's worth trying. Let's seek one here. So that saves 1 instruction. Is it possible to find an optimal unroll without testing everything? That depends on how you determine the optimal unroll. For these, where the optimal unroll essentially depends on the 100 test cases that I've never looked at closely, ever, for any puzzle. There's not really a way. Sometimes when you have an unroll that you're trying to figure out, that's just... Basically, if it boils down to I/O timing, you can just figure out the optimal amount with math. So this is a bit of a spoiler, but like the SFCTA highway sign thing. This thing here has some unroll here. The unroll amount here has nothing, like, there is no point to ever making this be any larger. And as you can see, this unroll is done by hand because, like, basically I need to squeeze in a bit more instructions than I can do in one iteration of a loop if it has to be tight. So it has to be something that divides the total amount of data. And unrolling these two loops 3x works. And then I have some knobs. Because the way this works is like there's XA1 here, XA, is actually the last one to enter and writes the character codes. XB is the first one to enter. Like you can see it's in front here. XB writes the row numbers and XC writes the column numbers. And this is like all three of these have loops so that they process, they each do an I/O exactly every 3 cycles. And I can have a regular jump here. This is not on the critical path. I just need to be doing I/O on all these exactly every 3 cycles. And so the optimal unroll here for this one happens to be, it needs to be larger than 1. Because I need to smuggle 1 extra instruction in here basically for n iterations, and like with 1 I don't have the extra slot. I could do 2 if this size of this, the total number of things was divisible by 2, which is not. It's like 27, so the only prime factors are 3 since it's 3 cubed. So I have to unroll these 2 loops 3 times, but in fact 2x would be sufficient for both. So there are definitely ones where you can just basically go from the problem statement. This also means, like, by the way, so this thing here runs in 86 cycles, I think. I think it's 86. It is 86. If you do the math, you have 27 characters here. And the minimum amount, well, the minimum cycles, you have to poke this data port 3 times for every single character you write. So it needs 27 times 3, which is just 9 squared. So it's 81 cycles, period, just of I/O. For the sign, couldn't you have that all in the same exa? No. If you do it all on the same exa, it costs you several cycles. On the same exa, you do not have the instruction. This thing here is only faster because it uses 3 exas. If you do it all on the same exa, it's slower. That is, you get something like this. Then you have to unroll this as much as you can, and you start to run into instruction count limits. You can't unroll this for the whole sign because you don't have the slots. Again, you'd need 81 slots and you don't have them. So you can't unroll the whole writer, so you need to have a loop somewhere. But if you do it all on the same exa, then every single cycle needs to be a write. And every cycle that has to deal with loop control, like these 2 cycles, are 2 lost cycles. Which is, in fact, why this here is 92 cycles, right? Is it? Let me check. It's 92 cycles. Synchrony 2 here is 86 cycles because it saves precisely these cycles. Like every 3 rows, we have, well, Every 3 rows we have these 2 dead cycles. Not every row we have these 2 dead cycles. That's 6 dead cycles because we have 3 rows. So that's exactly the 6 cycles we lose. Synchrony 2 here, like once it gets set up, it just never stalls ever. Like after this, like every 3 cycles, or no, every cycle you poke the data port once they're all in, like clockwork. And then, so it's, you can in fact count from here. So XB, first cycle has to traverse this link and then starts poking. So like that means you'd have to have at least 82 cycles from there. And then after the last copy, you have test EOF, F jump, and wipe. If you did this wipe earlier, this wipe is just for the leave no trace. If you could do this wipe earlier, I haven't figured out a way to just like do that. Then you could save up some more, scrape off some more cycles. Can you think of a way to do a clear and skip the zeros? I don't see how you would. The problem is, oh, maybe, yeah. Problem with all of that is that it requires you to look over the file and do some decision making there, and you really don't have a lot of budget. You have to do it in 3 cycles or less. Detecting that something is 0, fastest way, I guess, would be move it to T and do a F jump or T jump. Maybe. It seems tricky. And frankly, just haven't investigated it since it's if there was a fast way to get the current file cursor, that might be interesting. But sadly, there isn't. If there was a way to get the current file cursor, you could then do the diff and the mod to get the row and column after. So you basically just have a loop that skips over zeros in the file. Like you poke the clear port once, and then you just start skipping over the zeros, which you can do in probably a 2 cycle loop. And then that might come ahead. But that's a problem. Like just skipping over the zeros already takes 2 cycles per symbol, and this entire thing that just writes the entire sign takes 3. So you have only like 27 cycles margin that you could potentially win, and like any extra bookkeeping you would have to add, like if you have to keep track of the cursor, like do an add for every character, like that's now a 3 cycle loop already, just so you know what position is, and like that's slower than anything you can do by just writing the sign in full. So it's just if you had a way to get the file cursor, maybe, but I don't see how to make this work for this. Let me see. So this is the one that was. Okay, at this point you can also start the usual electronics hackery of, hey, are we ever the first user in the file? Yes, in fact we are, because he knows to test for that shit now. Isn't it a shame there isn't a way to do broadcasting that would open up a few options? The whole Well, sort of. I mean, the whole communications topology is kind of broadcasting, in that you can't, other than the local global switch, you can't really control who talks to whom. Like in the end, it only ends up being one-to-one, but you can't really control who that receiver is, which is sort of the worst of both worlds. So yeah, I'm not sure. I would want a somewhat different communication structure in general. Like the fact that you can't really broadcast is not very far up on my list there. I mean, in general, most of Zach's games tend to, or like most of the last few, have had very stupid processors, and you had to do everything by distributing across. Yeah, I realized what you meant by broadcasting, but I said, look, there's two things, right? Like the one-to-many is not super. Like I said, like that's not the thing I'd fix. I want a more constrained topology in general. That's a bigger deal, I think, for a lot of the puzzles. If you could basically establish pre-established channels of like who can talk to whom, and have finer net than just global local, that would help you a lot more than real broadcast would. Find the user. Oh, here. Grab that file. It's like you start counting at -1. Sum until you ask physically. Go all the way back and 2 forward. Is there a way to do this better? Alright, this had a 3-loop structure. Yeah, this one was really all just about stamping out these 75s as quickly as possible. If only you had some sort of computer go-to in this. The fact that you can only jump to predefined labels is not awesome. miss having hashtag comments. Oh yeah. I mean, JRO made unrolling in TAS like really powerful. Because you could just DUFS device it to clean up the last iteration. Which means like in just 100 if you have this kind of thing. Like just to get the remaining 75s here out, that's like whatever. It's like you don't have to do any of this crap. Well, in TS 100 you didn't have the mod, so that's the other problem. But yeah, I don't have any bright ideas for this, how to make it faster right now. Doesn't matter, I should actually just continue in the storyline. The Emerson's Guide thing I did. Ooh, I really don't have... yeah, the reason I don't have a fast solution is because this is, I believe, literally my initial solution, and I've never optimized anything. Yeah, it's my initial. Yeah, the reason that one I don't have any fast solution is because they have not even tried. How's the game so far? I don't like that he keeps... All of the Zachtronic games have artificial difficulty in kind of stupid ways. The size constraints and so on I like. But every single one of them, he goes on to sabotage flow control in some way, so that it's always super inconvenient. And micromanaging that is kind of your main activity. He does that every time. And honestly, I don't think it does anything for the games. It just becomes this thing that you end up battling with, and it's just never interesting. And in this one, the Mark II jump and F jump and so on is like one thing, whatever. That's not the problem. The problem is that you have the control flow always wiping the T register, and you have to use that extra test instruction, and you don't have you have the arithmetic instructions and so on. That's one thing that really bugs me. All of these, TIS 100 has this, Shenzhen has this, everybody has this. That it's always you never have something like an arithmetic instruction that sets flags, or a branch with a compare. No. You have arithmetic instructions that don't set any flags. You have separate compare instructions that do have flags, and then you have a separate branch. Actually, I don't remember. TIS 100 had the jump if greater than and so on, but that was a status register thing, if I believe, or it's just jump if greater than 0, right? Something like that. This is these always end up being super and that's just some arbitrary thing that he ends up doing, and he keeps varying the ways in which it is inconvenient in every game, but it's always some inconvenient bullshit. And it's just never an interesting source of difficulty. The size constraints and so on are different. Figuring out what exact way to lay out the loops so you can deal with the intentionally sabotage flow control. So it's in this game, 80% of this stupid time wasting in this game would just be gone if you had a 0 overhead jump instruction. which is for this kind of thing, it's like totally realistic. Like you have, or at least lower overhead. Like, for example, old school x86 had loop instruction. I mean, they still do. It's just not, it's not an instruction you would use anymore. Since it's not been the way to do it for a long time, and it's just like, that's one of these instructions that's so slow because nobody really uses it. It's not slow for any deep reason. It's not slow because you couldn't make it fast. It's just nobody uses it, so nobody cares. But Motorola 68K series had a similar thing, DBRA, decrement and branch, which is basically decrements a register and branches if that's 0. If you look at most of your loops in this game, it's some sort of counting loop, and then you end up unrolling them just to, because you have at least 2 cycles, 2 instructions worth of overhead just for looping. Cutting that down to 1 would help massively with reducing the tedium. Having an actual like loop that could pair, which again is also a thing that real machines do, because wasting 80% or like some significant percentage of your instruction slots and just loop overhead control, it's just really, really stupid. It's nothing any real machine would do. And it's just like, okay to have that and be occasionally a problem if that's not really the focus of the game. But when you have a game like this, where so many of the problems are about parsing files quickly or just doing other counted loops, the fact that the XS don't have any loop instruction and this forces you to unroll in stupid ways is just annoying, especially since you also can't dust device. If the instructions weren't hobbled, then the task would all be write 3 lines of Python. That's absolutely untrue. That couldn't be more wrong. Nobody said anything about giving you a full Python interpreter. You can still have constraints about the registers, about the size of numbers you can deal with, and so on. All of that is fine. But the fact that the flow control stuff is designed in a way specifically to make these as awkward as possible, and then 80% of the time spent on at least some puzzles is just figuring out what exact sequence to use to mitigate that stupid overhead. It's just not fun. It's not that's not an interesting part of the problem. Like, I have to do this with few registers, and because I don't have enough registers and I don't have any addressable memory, I have to deal with some communication in some way. That stuff is an interesting problem. Like, I have to figure out what the exact right number to unroll this loop by is to get the minimum score, because there's no low overhead looping instruction. And like, I have to just sit here manually running through all 100 test cases 10 times to figure out that the optimal unroll amount is not 10 and not 12, but 11 or something. That's just not interesting at all. So it's just like, I feel like the stuff that's interesting about the limitedness is just completely orthogonal to the flow control insanity he keeps doing every time. And for example, like, Shenzhen IO had the predication stuff, which is an interesting thing. Like, you can still have these kinds of mechanisms. Like, the fact that the predication was in there was cool. That's an interesting variant. The fact that you then still have the super hobbled control flow instructions is not. It's just like, no. These don't have to be that way. Like, you can have predication and do something interesting there, and you can have non-predicated and do something interesting there. But the fact that then you always get a super restricted set is not that interesting. And there's also some general things about what he does that I get why he does it, but it still bugs me. Like the fact that all the machines are fucking decimal with like 3 or 4 decimal digits and saturating arithmetic. Come on. do you think of the hacker battle stuff? I've only done one of them. So I have no idea. The one I did was weak sauce, and I like it feels like it's supposed so you can so you can battle other people who have solved it and like run their solutions. But like if that is something you can do in the game, I haven't figured out how to do that. Anyway. So that's my initial one. I like the Desolate Arithmetic more if it was 9's complement. There's a button on the enemy host, and you can pick events codes. I tried that and it does nothing for me. Where was that? Where was the first hacker battle thing? I have no... these are named so confusingly. No, that was for Ember. This is the... Right. Like, where can I click here? Like, this is my solutions. This is this stuff. Like, I can't... Like, I have no idea how to compete against either of these. Oh, this one. Jesus Christ. This one I did not see. Okay. Ha. Okay. Let's just play against everyone. God damn it. I'll lose against him. I haven't checked what he does. My solution is just intended to play against Mutex, so I just have no idea. Yeah, I did not win a single time against... Okay, Pear just... Okay. Pear just gets one of his movies playing and then kills everybody. That works. Probably same. Yeah, that's just a bunch of the nuke everything school. I intentionally did a pacifist solution, I will say. Like, I'm not making this up. This was actually intended to be a pacifist solution. It doesn't kill anyone. I mean, the counter strategy against S plus against Mentor, hooray. The counter strategy against somebody who tries to kill everybody is to just basically build a fork bomb. I'll take B. S plus. Okay, and like these three are the three who are actually like, yeah. They all have the same general game plan. Which is to just nuke everybody. And like, I don't have any response to that. Okay. Yeah, I did not. All right. If I want to be faster. If I want to be faster, there's multiple things I can do here. First thing is this one doesn't need to check. I only go here if it's negative, so it's never. Shuffle that around so that the cases are a bit more balanced. All right, should be a bit faster. Is it though? Let's see. Yeah, it's a bit faster and one larger. I feel like there should be a better way to do this. this clamps it at 0. Wait, is that correct? That better? Not really. I like the symmetry though. Yeah, this is now back to the exact same cycle count as my initial solution, but one line longer. Well, yeah. I mean, this was just, some of these are basically just luck of the draw. That's just a matter of like how good your initial one is. I'll call this one interesting, but no. The fact that escape doesn't go to this screen, which it used to do in the older ones, still keeps tripping me up. It's like... Wait. Some of what I'm doing here is just stupid. Yeah, this is just not optimized at all. No, copy my initial. You are the gopher who gets to handle the file from now on. You grab this. Where did I go wrong? Somebody here trying to read from a file without having one. Wait. You're not grabbing that file, please. Yes. Yes. Took me a while to realize you can just use T as a register. Also use a test anyways. Yes. That's a very Zectronics thing to do. Namely giving you a spare register which you desperately need. And then slightly screwing you over with how it works. So I thought... So the idea was this, just having the handling of this file 300 with the name and the coordinates, if I do this on a dedicated exa, I don't have to grab the file with me, I don't have to wipe it after I'm done, because otherwise you have to wipe it for the leave no trace. And I can get rid of some of the seeking around. Wait a second. It's my smallest one so far is the initial. can do this right away. So that extends my lead on that front a bit. It's just slower, but that's just one you can always do. Yeah, the XLs are weird in general with the weird strings and registers that are basically strings, but that you can never load as literals, and they can't really compare with. It's just strange. I don't know. Can go here, and then I don't need any of this. Should be one less, I think. Just for size, yeah. Can I do that in the smaller one? Yep. Jump got host. Jump NS loop. I always feel like I must be missing something when I spin up another exit here. So just uses ROM. No, that's normal. Yeah, the bounce nodes in TS100 were super important. You're not doing anything wrong. In fact, you're playing it right. Although I will admit that in Exapunks, I've also started doing the even more horrible version of this. Where you create a file just to dump data into. Just if you have an exit that otherwise doesn't need to be handling a file, you can just make and start dumping stuff into files. Which, because of the way the I/O works, is not exactly convenient. Boom, works. Can I replace this with a loop productively? Initialize the loop counter. Swap instructions to no, it's not productive. Needs to be wrap. Yeah, swap files exactly. It's kind of inconvenient since you also have to wipe them and you're seeking around all the time. I don't think that's in any of the solutions I currently have on leaderboards, but it was something I experimented with in the library thing. When I was off chasing a dead end. I keep wanting to make this faster and instead find ways to make it smaller, but there you go. You can't control the process. Just gotta roll with it. How often can I even go east? 3 times. I can go north twice and I can go south twice. Yeah. That's one of these solutions I'm not gonna like myself, but I'll try it anyway. So. Three. East 0, I guess. Is that any faster? I can imagine it being. It is. That saves like 1 cycle. 1 cycle. For that amount of code. I am not very impressed. What's your preferred metric? I couldn't care less about activity currently. I've never tried to optimize for it. I do like both size and speed. So both size and cycles are both fine. Both are interesting in different ways. This is just purely enumerating all the cases. Because this way I don't have to deal with finding the absolute value, I don't have to deal with anything. Like I can only go like 3 steps east 2 north, 2 south, or just no step at all. So like there's 5 options here and like 3 options here. So it's like, it's not really worth writing as a loop. It was just changing the way the bot hands me the data. Yeah, that makes it larger but faster. I mean, I'm generally in the low activity region anyway. For the puzzles I do, since I tend to favor that anyway. The one exception, I guess, would be, where was it? The Redshift one. What was my activity there? No. 16. That's totally within bounds. Oh yeah, right. I know why. Yeah. I see how this would happen, but yeah. I haven't done a really low activity one, but oh god, I don't want to get those last cycles, because the way this one works is just a nightmare. Wait, what? That's still in there? That was just debug. So I can shrink the size by 1. No, that makes it slightly slower. See, this is one of these things where you can go, okay. Do a binary search of what constant gives me the best cycle count for the test vectors. Because do I have anything better to do with my life? The answer is apparently not. That binary search is not even the right thing here. You just have to try out a shitload of values. It is deeply, deeply stupid what I'm doing right now. I should not be doing this. This is one of these things where it's annoying that the test cases make this kind of shit matter. And yeah, I think this is just a matter of like, yes, I happen to have one run where I know the exact right answer, which is 473. And if I start there for that one run, I get the best score. Hooray. But like, this is so not an interesting optimization. It's just not. How do I make this smaller? This is this is a complete fork bomb. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that. Let's go back to Emerson's guide. Working on UG. By the way, this is completely representative. I really am just always hopping back and forth between puzzles while I'm playing. Basically, as I'm doing stuff, I just get ideas, and it's like, hey, doesn't this work in this other puzzle? Optimizing the album, well, sometimes, right? Sometimes it doesn't. Like, a lot of this is just, it's the same as the unrolling. It's annoying that actually a lot of these puzzles are just really about really, really damn stupid micro tweaking. Oh, same kind of shit here, though, honestly. That, for example, you could turn this into a binary search. I mean, right now I'm doing a linear search here. I'm actually not sure how much time I even spent on the initial. There's some cycles I'm wasting there just getting that. So there's a lot here, just basically optimizing this if tree for this entire thing. Which you can do is just the least interesting kind of work you can do. And again, like in TIS 100, just do like 1 or 2 ifs and then JRO to jump to the right unrolled sequence. Yep. Actually, let me check. Three and then 2. There's a thing where you can just try figuring out the stats for these files. I don't feel like that's what pair would be doing though. Is there just a way better way to do this that I'm not realizing? Oh God. Yes, there is. I have yet to see one of these where there's more than 2 restaurants in a quarter, like at a given sector. Just unroll this. And if that's not enough, I can unroll one more. Wait. It's really only ever 2 per square. That's a stupid way to get those wins. Stupid way. Like, that was not an interesting one to optimize for speed, is all I can say. Like, this is optimized for, yeah. Like, that's not an interesting way to get that win at all. Jesus Christ. Can use it to make an even more underhanded, smaller version, though. No, I can't. I actually can't. Since this one, like, that's the 0 fucks given version of that loop, and it's just, it does not get any shorter. I feel like there's a better way to do this, though. This whole mess doesn't feel good. Anyway, that problem being now sufficiently beaten to death, let's beat our NPC. Let's control a majority of hosts. Wait. Okay, the link structure goes. Right, what I read from control. 0 to control. Just checking. Yep. All right. Actually, this is way more convenient if I make my home base in Asgard. And replicate a sweeper. Sweeper is one that just copies 0 to control. Replicates Flicker. And replicates a forker. Then follows the link and goes to the forker's entire job is to do this. I don't want any what? The idea with the forecast is just to fill up the nodes, and then good luck traversing the link. Let's see where this plan goes wrong. Wait, why are the sweepers not... Let's do it this way. Why don't I ever get very far? I don't understand. Oh, because there's a storage limit. That's the problem. That makes this not a good strategy. I understand. So the original plan was just to fill out these nodes with junk bots, and then they can't even traverse links, but if I have the storage limit, like, yeah. So this one just sends wave of sweepers, and each sweeper just traverses this linearly and just grabs every host. And because I keep sending hosts, keep sending waves of sweepers, like the sweepers eventually die when they try to traverse this link and there's nothing there. Yeah. So I just basically grab this as my home base and then keep spamming sweepers from there. And my original plan also involved, again, still pacifist. Have not used a kill yet in any of the hacker ones. Hacker battle ones. And like, hey, maybe just fill up the nodes, which I guess you could absolutely do, but if you have a limit of 10 and you need to occupy 8 squares, that's kind of... And I guess like Plastered here only sent one bot through, so it's like, yeah. Let's actually see. Who got schooled? Okay, I think that's the real boss. There's only one way to find out. Okay. We won against Plastered. Let's see. I do not win against John. What does John do? He puts its squatters. So against John, I would need a solution that actually tries to kill bots. Yeah, he just squats on all these, which is also smart. Against pair solution, I have a perfect record. Alan, you're up. My strategy beats yours, man. Hexanol. Nope. Is this one of them hunter killer bots? No, he's also using the squatter strategy. Which, to be fair, is solid. Lyle. Also, yeah, it's very, very... Oh, another squatter. Okay. I don't bother with these, I just read on to beat the NPC. But yeah, I'm just curious. So yeah, my sweepers do well against everything but this but the squatting strategy, I suppose. What does pair do? Keeps going back and forth and grabbing them. But he only has one bot. That's not gonna work against my unwashed masses of bots. Pair. Yeah, Pair just has a bot that keeps running back and forth. And Alan's bot, I think, is... Why did that self-destruct? Yeah, your bot just dies. Alright. So the squatters are clearly better than my shock troopers, but...
Hey, sorry I haven't been in touch. Things are a little crazy at work right now. They promoted me to a new position and, well, there's just a lot going on.
Did she get promoted because of the 5-star rating?
You like puzzle games, don't you? I remember you being a fan. I used to play games with my sister sometimes, but she moved to Japan a few years ago. She sent me this game, but I guess I can't play it because of the region lock. Looks fun though. I thought maybe you could get it working. You always were good at that kind of thing. I have to go. So much work to do. Really hope this job doesn't eat me up. Okay, bye for now.
Do we have to under? Yes. Hack your body to regain control of your left hand. Man, does that mean I have to type this in using only my right hand? That's gonna suck. All right. Okay. Getting way too spoilery, yeah, exactly. I said when I advertised this that I wasn't sure whether people wanted to watch this because it's spoilerish, so yeah. If you're playing the game, I would not recommend. So like I can think of two basic ways to do this. One is to basically have two teams. One team of 3 X's on the central nervous system nodes, and one team of 3 X's on the hand nodes. And then I just need to make sure so the exact timing of M, one of these is always 2 cycles and one of these is 1. Reading only takes a cycle. Writing always takes 2. I believe is how it goes. They're asymmetric. Let me just make sure I have that right. So what I mean. This here can't advance until it has a reader. And you see, like, after, like, when I initially am on this here is nothing. It takes 1 cycle for that to be in its output buffer. The next cycle, this read can complete and this completes. So writing takes 2 cycles. Writing takes 1 cycle to copy the value into the buffer. And then it stalls until somebody consumes the buffer. So if I did this, this takes an extra cycle to read, because basically this instruction will only finish once the reader consumes it. If I go the other direction and I try to read in the first cycle the data isn't there yet. It's not in the buffer. So this cannot take 1 cycle. It still takes 2 cycles. The knobs are only there to show the timing, and so the X's don't immediately suicide. The point being, like, I have this no up here because the writer here, for the first cycle, is just a cycle where it basically does the calculation. If this is an arithmetic instruction, whatever, it does the calculation here, and then it goes into M. It does not matter if I swap the reader or writer, normally anyway. See? This one here, first cycle copies the 1 into M, second cycle they handshake. And if I do this the other way around without the knob for the reader, it still takes 2 cycles. And like this timing for the handshakes is the same he's had since TIS 100, I think. It's annoying that they're somewhat asymmetric, but it is always consistent. So there's always one cycle to put, like, the important thing is, like, I'm hitting tab here, and I go from nothing in the output buffer to 1 in the output buffer. And that's when the reads can happen. But it's completely predictable. You just need to know that any that there's this asymmetry that reads only take 1 cycle, but writes always take 2, at very least. You can, if you have multiple writers, like multiple actors doing writes, each can put something, can put a signal on the ether every cycle, no problem. You just need to be aware that the write here is 1 cycle delayed. I think that's all there is to it. But so anyway, option 1 here is definitely to just do that and basically do a time division multiplex between these 3. Like first cycle, like say first cycle I send M, second cycle I send H, third cycle I send P. They have to have a set 2 groups of 3 X's. Each have their own time slot, and I just need to make sure that everybody's always in sync, because otherwise things are going to get weird. But that seems a fairly straightforward way to do it, so that's probably my initial solution. The other way you could try to do this, which might be interesting. Actually, that's probably... I have a cunning plan. So what I described works. It just has the fundamental problem. These are all essentially, if these were 1-digit numbers, I could swizzle multiple of them into basically 1 packet, 1 transmission. But this way, if I use the ether, I have to figure out how to do the timing, which is somewhat annoying. It's not a problem, but it's annoying. And like I have to do this in 3 transmissions because they're signed 3-digit values. I can't swizzle them into the same field or anything like that, so it's really annoying. Well, it has to be 2 transmissions anyway because they go different directions, so it would have to be like 1 cycle for H and P and 1 for M, but still it's annoying. So don't do that. The other option is to just have the access physically traversed away. So you just, my current plan is to just move an exa to P hand, and then I just have 1 exa here that just squats here and starts forking new instances, each of which first grabs a value from this nerve, then grabs a value from this nerve. stores these in registers. So it just keeps walking and just goes to H and PCNS. So that takes several cycles to traverse, but has the big advantage I can do the forking thing and so on. I can just keep spawning one of these every cycle. So that gives me a throughput of 1 per cycle. And then I have another bucket brigade, basically, of CNS nodes going the other way. Just call it bucket brigade. So that's my current plan. So first one, need to check if there's enough space. There barely is enough space to do this, but there is. Okay. Wait. I need to think about this. There's a problem with the approach I just outlined. I need to do a hybrid. Because the problem, I can do 1 bucket brigade, but I can't do 2 because then I'm still limited to 2 cycles per transaction because I can't traverse, like no 2 X's can traverse 1 link in 1 cycle. So if I want a throughput of 1 per cycle, one of these has to use communication, which is still gonna be 2 per every 2 cycles. Oh, god damn it. I need 2 pulling the CNS. Jesus Christ. Can I even do it with 2? I can't quite hit full throughput with 2, but I can unroll it enough, so that's fine. This is gonna get a bit weird. I'll stop explaining now and just start coding. All right. Whatever, repeat this 4 times or so. I can tune this later. This means I have a 1 cycle hold every 4 cycles. No, actually I only need 1 IO slave here on this side. Because of the aforementioned asymmetry. And pothole every 8 cycles on this side. This works, not surprisingly. And now I have exactly 1 space left in MCNS to do my bucket brigade plan. 800 and then 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's correct. This can only spawn one every 2 cycles. Same problem as before. Have the same potholes here as well, why not? Sweeper grabs a value from nerf to X, links 3, copy nerf to T, link 3, link. How many links do I need to follow from here? It needs to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Copy T to nerf, link 3, copy X to nerf. And then just die. What's going wrong with him? No, I keep hitting escape and it keeps doing. This is also a recurring problem in Zachtronics games. Want double escape, because escape I'm used to just exiting the debugger or whatever. You here, tell me where you are. I actually don't want the main one. I want XC0, the sweeper, for sweeper. So he reads 1, 2, 3, 4. I built this exactly the wrong way around. That makes sense though. There's the bucket brigade. Not exactly low activity, but the throughput is fine. So I'll just say, like, this was my first design and I already hit the you can REPL the sweeper every cycle if you give the REPL job to the sweeper itself. Point. Let me see what the bottleneck is. I'm not sure if that's limiting me right now. The problem here really is just the latency for the late ones to arrive. Yeah. What's that supposed to say? Yep. It's certainly shorter, so I like that one better, yeah. Thanks, but still, I have said this before, but please no puzzle answers, nothing to do with the puzzles. Like, you can comment on it, but please no suggestions, no, like, why don't you do this? Yeah, this doesn't actually affect the throughput in any useful way at all, because like it's not the bottleneck. I think the primary problem like, yeah, everybody who has the 90, pretty sure these people are doing communication for everything. Because I think I don't know how long the test runs are, but I think that's what happens if you do the time division multiplexing. That's a 6-cycle loop. You could get it down to 3 if basically you just need 2. You need 2 bots on every end. That's what the XA here, these 2. That's why this one forks. Writing takes 2 cycles, but see how every cycle, almost every cycle, a new value appears. That one pothole is because I don't unroll enough. But so this, because these individual writers take 2 cycles, that means I need 2 exas that generate that communication, but there's no reason you can't do that. And it's only worthwhile for me to do that because I have nothing else trying to use the global communications channel. If I had, like, it would not be worthwhile. So you can take this one further, since I just noticed like it's really not a lot of iterations that these do. So it's whatever you do rep 10 here. Not even that. I mean, each of these is only since you only get benchmarked for what happens for the first couple runs, basically. So this is only what the test. That's all the test runs test is what happens for the first couple cycles. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I need, if I do rep 8 here, it's just totally fine. That I don't have any communications delays in the timing loop for this. Doesn't actually matter either way, since these are not the bottleneck. Like, I'm 100% bottlenecked on how long it takes the last one in the bucket brigade to arrive. And yeah, that means I hit a throughput. Are these always negative, by the way? Looks like all of these are always negative. if the H and P are always negative, two-digit numbers. So you could also do the thing, if you know that, you could do an interesting design that uses communication, so it would be lower activity. Where basically you still have somebody squatting here and forking new bots, but you grab P hand, follow this link, swivel in H hand, since two-digit numbers always apparently. I mean, they happen to be negative, but that's not the problem. And then that allows you to pack them into one value. You can send that one now 4-digit value. Over the over the medium using communication. And that now means you only need one time slot to send H and P. So that would allow you to get a stable loop with basically 2-cycle communication. Where one end, like on one end you just have MCNS sending and say the even cycles, and on the odd cycles you have the hand sending pressure and heat in one value. So that allows you to do the same thing with basically one. Yeah, you only that means if you only send every 2 cycles, you only need one bot here. You could do 2 and make the loop. Yes, if you do 2, you can make the loop perfect and not even have to unroll it, which seems worthwhile, since otherwise for your time division multiplexing the time is going to be a mess. So that's probably the way to do it if you want to go with a 2-cycle loop. How many of these do we have? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That means in principle, if these tests were a lot longer, you would like this approach would just win, the one I have here. Because this one can actually sustain a throughput of 1 every cycle for all of these values. But because we have this super annoying critical path where a bot has to go here, link, IO, link, so that's 2 cycles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, IO is 8, 9, IO is 10 cycles. It's just a lot of cycles for tests that only basically completes in 39 cycles. So that's a lot of latency to have, especially considering that you also have the initial latency of just the bots getting to that position and setting up the fork loop and whatever. So that's a long latency. So it might actually be interesting to do the even out multiplex one with communication. It'll certainly be lower activity. So let's try to set that up. try this one where we try to actually do communication both ways. So the first one goes here. This IO loop goes copy from nerve to M. This is 2 cycles. This here would be 3 cycles, which we don't want, so there's a no up here. And this is to get them to sync up. XB, he's the receiver. He goes 3, 3. Because he only needs to receive every 2 cycles, this one's easy. Like this is just straight up loop. Now I need to check if these are timed right. These are not timed right. IO2 starts here. This is a bit wonky, but make sure I timed this right. 1. On the 1 cycle, this one here writes. On the 2 cycle, that's grabbed. On the 3 cycle, this one should write. On the 4 cycle, it should be grabbed. And now we're on the 1 cycle again. Yes. So these interleave perfectly and leave exactly 2 cycle gaps, and it's just a loop. It's like I'm now using every second cycle on the medium to send my values. And in this solution, I want to have loops with rock solid stable timing, because otherwise none of this is gonna work. Like every EXA needs to know exactly where it's in the schedule at all times, or this is gonna get completely horrible. All right, that's the easy part though. The CNS part is the easy part. Link 3, link 3, link 3. We're now in P. In this one, I think we want a spawn loop. And that needs to spawn every 2 cycles. Every 2? Every 2. Because we need exactly every 2 cycle. Trying to think. This will not get my activity done. Or will get my activity down, but not by that much. Because I still need to at least traverse 1 link every time. So this spawns a new EXA every 2 cycles. And this EXA will go grabs the value from the nerve, lower 2 digits only please, put that in X, and negate. So that's positive. Then we follow link to -3. Read this nurse. Lower 2 digits, put it in the high bits. Don't negate this one. We could, we just don't need to. Put that in T. We take X and T and send it on M. So on this side, we just spawn a new one to do this every 2 cycles, so we don't actually care. And at that point, this IO slave can die. There's gonna be a new one where that came from. And then I need to check to make sure these get the right timing slots. So otherwise there's gonna be a lot of confusion on the medium. Last one goes to 800, -3, -3, -3. He's now sitting in the hand node. Same basic construction. He just squats spawning IO slaves. We grab, this is the one I need to time right. I need to make sure in the phase that everything aligns so that XC and XD don't conflict with XA and XP. So these two get, that's called in the even cycles, and these two need to get the odd cycles. And I need to make sure this is all perfectly aligned so there's no confusion, because otherwise none of this will work. You copy M to X. 2-digit number. So we take of X, the top 2 digits including sign, and throw them into the HCNS nerve. Traverse one link. -1. Throw that into the other nerve. That's it. And now I need to check how the timing works out. XC is where it needs to be. Spawns an IO. Oh, the other issue I need to think about is that this needs the adequate number of no-ops so that this first read. Because right now, okay, this here is off by once read now, and the data will be available in 1, 2, 3 cycles. So this needs 3 no-ops, non-negotiable, to make the timing work out. XTM. If everything is good, unfortunately everything is not good. If everything were good, we would now be on a cycle where nobody has anything in M. Where somebody has something in M. Now we have two simultaneously wanting to send, and that's not going to go well. So XC also needs a no-op. And this needs an extra no-op. So we're in the right phase. XC0. So now is the cycle when XA, CM is here and XB is about to do its read. So this goes through. Now this has this value in its signal and the global send. And now we should be exactly on the cycle where XT0 does its read. Beautiful. This should work. Does swap them? This was listen right. It's because I'm an idiot. I do need to negate. Because otherwise the adding destroys the values. So, this is not quite as fast as the Bucket Brigade one, but it's a lot more intricate, and dare I say more interesting. And it's super low on the activity spectrum. Super low. It's like if you really want minimum activity, like that should be clear how to do that at this point, is to just have what I said. You have the bots squatting. You have the 6 bots. 3 for every side. The Swizzling thing to combine 2 values is neat. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that's just something I realized you can do after seeing that these are always negative and always 2-digit. The CNS values you can't do that with. Because if you look at here, like you get 3-digit values, so that blows it up. But these always seem to be 2-digit readings, so you can absolutely make that work. Once I realized that you could do this, and that a 2x time subdivision was in fact not too far off this value, the 39, I really wanted to try it. Because it's like a completely orthogonal solution to the first one, really. And it's interesting. Like, I mean, like this. I'm curious if I can. So. This is exactly the sort of thing where you then want to tweak which order the bots traverse the links to get rid of the no-ops and stuff like that. Because I think right now, when does XD traverse that link? he the last already? He's already the last, so that'd be even more no ops if that wasn't the case. Is XC the first? No, XA is the first. Okay, I have no idea. I really wish you'd use longer tests, so this kind of thing would be more of a win. Opus Magnum also had issues with using too short tests. Yes. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, this solution here, I'm really happy that this actually worked. Like, I mean, I outlined the plan, and I was fairly certain it would work, but it's nice to get the satisfaction of, like, knowing it works. But, what's the one I wanted to do? Always hit the wrong button. This solution here and the variants, but I mean, like, this had the basic thing right there. This will just long-term beat absolutely everything because it has a throughput. It has a long lead time for these bots to complete their long migration all the way to PCNS from PH&D. So while the startup delay is not great, after that throughput is basically 1 per cycle. Not quite, because I still have to loop here somewhere. But it's pretty close. Trying to think. Something else I could do here. I mean, I think I could actually just say, let's do this, call this size tweak. I believe since the for the test cycles he does, I don't think there's actually much point to this. If I communicate these at 1 reading every 2 cycles, it's basically fine. It's just not the bottleneck. So I don't think there's any point actually unrolling this. Since just looking at how these complete, like this M row is always filled up before OutH does. The OutH comes at a faster rate, but this test is so short that I believe I can do this without costing any size or any speed at all. Yeah, it doesn't cost me any speed. So I just half the throughput of this long term. Like asymptotically, this solution is half as fast as the previous one. Nearly, not quite, because this was the other one is not quite 2x faster because sometimes you have a dead cycle to the loop, but close. And it just doesn't show up at all here because this test is so short that you never notice it. If, however, I start messing with this link statement, say wrapping that into a loop. Well, first off, I have a problem there. I don't have the registers to do that. But also that would be a problem. Hi, Sherlock. Yeah, this could do the same swizzle trick to free up that register, but that's actually more code. So if you're going for size, it's not worth it. Could go for low activity here. Like minimum size, I'm not actually sure what the smallest one would be. This is not a lot of code, honestly. I'm actually curious how Pear's short solution works. 24 is pretty damn small for this. Although to be fair, without this rep 6, like that's like 6 out of the 32. So that's 26, but still. I suppose one solution is to put this code in here. That makes it smaller and slightly lower activity. Oh, and saves the cycle because they have less congestion. Nice. That's actually nice. Does XB or XA win? XB is the one to go first. That is correct. Yeah, that's what I ordered for them to go. I wanted to say there's more tweaking you could do, but like no, like the XA one doesn't need to arrive any faster than it already does. So that's size 31. I would have no idea. I'll just shave off another couple of these. At this point, this really doesn't do much. I'll think about size optimized versions, but let's not do that right now. Modify the Sawayama Wonder Disc so it will play games from a different region. I will say there's some appalling size incongruities here. Because like we've had puzzles where like one square here is an ATM. And the one in the library where it's just whatever, like that's a room in the library. And now we have the regular same size Exas and what can only be described as a macro chip. Because applying the same scale, I mean, like, this is like a football field sized chip there. That's a macro chip, all right. So, I am supposed to look at the zine, which will have documentation on how the Wonder Disc works. But I have to admit, I'm sort of tempted to try and see if I can figure this out. Just without reading the docs at all. I mean, this is a stupid thing to do. It's like, why not? Actually, I don't have to wipe. I don't have to leave no trace. That's track thing. Let's just try what happens. Does that do anything? Okay, I'll have to read the docs actually. For the other ones, I actually managed to do this without, but I am reading the zine. Really? Really? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 15. 15 digit code. Why 15? Why not 16? Let's go for a small solution. Yeah, you have to read the docs because there's a secret key that I have to input. There's interesting avenues for size optimization here, but I'm not gonna try. Ta-da! Open sesame. Ta-da. You grab that and you drop it. And what's the link ID actually? I didn't pay attention. 801. Okay. Not sure if there's going to be multiple tracks. Probably. No, this is not based on real life hardware. This sounds like a generic Japanese name, but that's about it. I mean, the reality processor is clearly a nod at the PS2. But no, like, region locking doesn't work this way. It actually involves crypto usually. Bad crypto more often than not, but actual crypto. Okay, spawn a reader, which will go there, do the thing for me. And then I go into 800, I guess. Or make a file. Copy, 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 copy. Question is, do I do the substitution on this side or on the other side? Copy from the message to true. Copy done is here. I do the substitution on the other side is the answer. Because over here I don't really have the resources. The N64 the reality coprocessor, the PS2 as a CPU was called the Emotion Engine. The graphics chip in the PS2 was called the Reality Synthesizer. Sorry, the PS3 graphics chip, RSX, is officially the Reality Synthesizer. AKA GIMP, well not GIMP, it was a GeForce 7800 GTX basically. Which was gimped, but like not for the console. Like it was gimped by design because Nvidia screwed it up, which I will not go into details because NDAs. But it's an impressively broken chip. That's my standard copy loop. Then I don't need to do any copy done or other processing. I just drop it like it's hot. Go back. Your Excel should be written to operate indefinitely. Yep. So this grabs the next track. I already had the discussion about what I like more or less about Exapunks. I don't want to do a rerun like I did this an hour ago. Short version is like I don't generally mind these being, even if they were basically just level packs for that one game that he makes and that I like, I would be fine with it. They're a bit more substantial than that. But more importantly, I wish he'd stop doing like all the resource constraints and so on are interesting. The fact that everything he designs has purposefully broken control flow that then makes you deal with contortions just to get basic control flow going and just have. In this game, there's a lot of stuff that's basically unroll heavy. I don't think it's nearly as overpowered as John seems to think it is, or Pear, because like I have like a lot of my best solutions don't really unroll at all. So like I think they're overstating that part, or maybe they're just playing differently than I am. But I will say that like if you have a game where a really powerful strategy is just to unroll stuff and just to keep retrying things until you figure out the right unroll amount, that's not an interesting design. And he should just have a lower overhead jump instruction, a loop instruction for that, because this is not a good way to spend time. Like that's just not very interesting at all. All right, Mark Reader. You first go down 801. Grab, what's the name of the file T? Because I only need that temporarily. And then, I guess both of these are copy loops, but this is one half. This is called the write loop, and this is the read loop. And now I actually need to check what's in those files. So Pad. I need to wait until I've actually unlocked so I can look at the files. All right. Test. What's in the file is bigger than 0. I hope that everything is bigger than 0. Can probably tweak this, like distribute this work better between the two sides, since this is kind of putting everything on the reader, but we'll see. This works, is just slow. Man, is it slow. The slowness is killing me. My solution is small though. check something. Nothing useful. Substituting this code is kind of a pain. I'm not sure about this part. If I do the region substitution on the other side, well, I'm not sure what to do with this. It's somewhat awkward. I really would like an extra register. This is not thrilling watching right now, since it's just me thinking, but the issue is I would like the copy loop to be dumber. Is it already a copy? It's already a copy. an easy way to degrade a keyword to 0? Not really. So the idea here is to chop it up into bursts between appearances of a non-keyword item. But it's still super annoying to have to test for this. Yeah, I think that's actually promising, so. Because the problem is just having to test for this. This loop, the read loop, has to test for 2 conditions. Send a flag first that says whether the next value is special or not. If it's not special, just copy it to the file. If it's special, we have 2 cases. First one is EOF, second is just the region code. If it's the region code, copy the region code, the file, go to the right loop, otherwise go to right down, where we just drop, basically. Actually, always copy this and delete And this can now copy fx, test x bigger than 0. This really doesn't make it much smaller. Well, I get the extra register and avoid the seek. Yeah, wait. This only sends the status. That should work. There's a special, and special needs to output 2 zeros, I think. That work? Yep, it does work. So that's a different protocol. So I just send basically a flag. If this is numeric, if x is numeric and non-negative, oh well, well, positive actually, this will be 1, otherwise it'll be 0, and I use 0 to mean special values here. That actually made it slower, wow. Why? Feels like it should be faster. Maybe it's a communication. What do these files look like anyway? Yes, I just have the markers in random places. You just need to check. Can't really parallelize because A, space limitations. And B, like, it can't have two of these talking to each other simultaneously. I have to see if there's something stupid I'm missing. This write loop is fairly tight and it's super simple, so that's when the writer really doesn't do anything. Try the burst reading one more time. I always want to not read this twice, but if I do a copy of X and test against X, like that's not actually any faster than seeking. That's just my real programmer brain going like, oh god, file IO is slow, but file IO isn't slow. I mean, it is, but not here. If I have to copy it into a register, I might as well do the seek. There's really no reason not to. Is there something stupid I'm missing? Yes, these are sometimes back to back, so like the thing I was thinking about is also not an option. I don't really have any brilliant ideas for this one. Because yeah, like this. I really don't have any bright ideas here. Anything to do with file handling is annoying in this game. So the fast path is definitely nothing to do with region, so. Well, one thing I'm not considering here is like right now, I am rewriting this file as I am transmitting it. The other option is to just copy the file verbatim to the buffer first and then basically do a separate path for the keyword substitution. That has the advantage that you can do the second pass without any end of file handling, since that just means the two advantages. That's two advantages if I do it that way. Yeah, that's actually better. Let's try that. So let's go for stupid copy loop. Followed by a separate loop over the file. Big problem with that one is let's explain what the win would be. The win is that right now we're spending all the time just waiting for these two bots to talk to each other to transfer the data, and the reader bot on this side here is spending a substantial amount of cycles just testing for the region code bytes and substituting them. Processing these requests has to be sequential in that I'm using the medium to communicate between them. You can't fit a second EXA in here, so you have to talk through the message passing mechanism with the outside world. Yep. But what you can do is to just do a bulk transfer from here to here, and then have a second EXA run here decrypting. And during that time, while that EXA is decrypting, that's only looking at that file, decrypting, substituting the region code. So this EXA can just be doing its work while there's another copy operation going on just fine. So that should definitely help. And it also makes the individual loops simpler, which is nice. Means I need to do this, file T, drop, REPL the region. This goes elsewhere. And this now is super stupid. Copy FM, test EOF, fjump, read loop. Copy 0M, halt. It's the entirety of what the reader does. The region, meanwhile, still has the new region code in X, so it just does grab T. And goes region loop. Test whether that byte is non-numeric, really. And if it's not, because now it doesn't even need to seek back. It needs to do nothing. Oh my god, this is awesome. This is much better. This is just a scan now. And this seeks back by 1, overrides with F. Goes straight back into the region loop. And eventually this will read past the end of the file, which will kill the exa. That's great. That means I don't even need to clean up because that'll drop the file and everything is gravy. Would be gravy if it worked. Right now it's not working. See. Why are these erroring? What's wrong in 210? I can't really see great. Awesome. This is not great to debug. Stop. That's the first file. Stuff is dying at a different piece as well, probably. This sentence, no parse. You need to be a bit clearer what you mean. I have no idea what you're even trying to say. So. This exa has dropped the file, replaces ID region. What's this? What? What? What's this exa here? What? Is that the problem? Oh, that's the fetch exa. That's fine, okay. I think I see where that problem might be. Is there a race between them? I think there might be a race between them. Sorry, there's a moth floating around here that's bothering me. Luckily, there's no region to do any of this here. We just make the file in this area. The region grabs T and then links 800. So, what? What? Then I don't even need to do this. Wait, what? These are not fun. Oh god, now I'm having like 126 viewers from John. Hello everybody, but like I'm in the middle of debugging something and I'm so not up to delivering an exciting stream right now. Especially since I'm also about to stop streaming in like 10 minutes or so. Weekly scheduled phone call with my parents who are like 10 time zones away. Great. Test number 2. What goes wrong for track 210? That'll be fun to debug. Let's see. XA7 is my the region bot. He grabs the new file, goes there. Wait. I have an idea for what it might be and I do not like it. I do not like it one bit. I'm thinking the problem might be XI7, how long is your file? Relatively short and has 1 token. Whereas XI5, how long is your file? Much longer. Damn it. Oh, this is the stupidest possible way for this to go wrong. The bots pick the files up in the order that I dropped them off in the buffer. And the issue now is that the current loop is actually too fast. It's Specifically, this file XA7 holds is short, and we'll finish decoding either before or at the same time as this one does that XA5 has been working on for quite some time. All the stupid races. To confirm that this is in fact the problem, put a 100 cycle delay loop in there. See whether that helps. If my theory is right, these will all pass now. This is the fucking stupidest thing possible. Dear buffer droid. You are a blight on humanity. Okay, at this point, it looks like my 100 cycle delay is working, which is of course terrible. But I do want the overlap. This is actually slower. It's like, yeah, like how many do I actually need? Does 10 work? 10 works. If 10 works, it really gets like... To be fair, like that means like this code is race-tastic. But also like that's some broken ass IO subsystem there, just saying. Yup, at this point it's just like figure out exactly how many no-ops I needed. Wait. What happens if I do this? Can I use these as convenient delay loop without even having to spam knobs? The answer is yes. He does not care about extra off things, so it's like, yeah, I will not even spam knobs. I will just like say like, okay, whatever. Do I need 1 cycle more? I need more than 1. Do I need 2 cycles more? I need more than 2. This is like, I'm a professional programmer. I do this for a living. Do not copy me. Like, this is like trained professional shit right here. Like, do not try this at home, kids. Oh my god, do not try this at home. It is a nice way to do this. Nope. Yeah, especially like I do this until all 100 test cases pass, and after that of course I have supreme confidence that this will never fail in the wild, because why would it, right? Having found the exact value where I can't reproduce the spurious failure anymore in my huge set of 100 test files, I am now confident this will never happen again. But mostly this is me just going, these convenient copy statements there, like these already need to be there. Who am I? I'm Fabian. I don't know why John hacks you on me. I just happen to be streaming Exapunks right now. So yeah, if you've seen Rig in John's top 10s, that's me. And having a feeling here that I'm not the only one with this idea. These two are surprisingly Fabian with an A at the end. A. But A because it's German. Let's see. Yeah, this is some top tier code here. The regioning thing is super sweet though. So it's the reading loop. Even if it was convenient to test for EOF here, I'd literally just like... Oh, well, no, walking them over in order is actually still a problem. I just want a queue where I can drop these off, but yeah. There's no queue. That's my official opinion on this. Mine, the only ugh is this, really. Like the fact that the knob padding to make this timing work out is special. And it's also not a problem you would have in the real world, I will add, because like these requests would not be for files, but for sectors, which are fixed size. So you could totally make this timing work out. I blame the game. This is totally not my fault for writing janky S code. I'm disclaiming all responsibility. All right, reader. Yeah, I'm not feeling like. Am I feeling like figuring out if I can squeeze these a bit more? Really, the issue here is with files where I can potentially do this. Get that one instruction out of the critical path. That might be a bit faster. Save maybe 30 cycles. Not sure if they're actually who's waiting for whom when, but I don't think it makes any difference now. It's not. This is not on the critical path. Since like this here, waiting for the first data is actually the critical thing. way to make this slightly nicer? There is, in fact. Let's try this. Start the reader persistently. That's with my timing, with my massive timing innovation. I'll have to put the delay loop in another way. You do this, you do the unlock and go to 801. Well, this is, I have no idea whether this helps at all, actually. Kicks off the reader. After which we shall be receiving data shortly. Whatever. They do it this way right now, and then figure out what to do. With this, otherwise I don't know if 10 ops was the magic number. We're gonna find out soon, as I will be rerunning this entire madness however often it takes. Seriously, that beats hexanol by one cycle. This would be satisfying if it was so pissy. This is like the definition of spiteful. It's like, yeah, dude, like I sniped your like 4,600 cycle solution, and it's exactly 1 second. It is exactly 1 cycle. Oh my god, that's too perfect. Yeah, that's just a massive middle finger. You don't turn on the top percentiles? No, I don't really need to. My Steam's friend list is almost exclusively comprised of people who regularly play electronics games and is hyper competitive as a result. This is super low activity too. Nice. And it's right in the middle of the size curve. Like, even though it's a 10x repeat, it's not actually that bad. So, It's just nicer to have like these actual. How do you have 300 hours on a game that's been out like 2 days or 3? That doesn't work unless you're on a very weird planet. Or have, I don't know, early access. Ah, testers. Okay. Yeah, just like I'm already friends with a bunch of compiler developers and so on. So like this, people on my friends list are really, really good. And like turning on the top percentile rarely makes a huge difference in the results I see. But if I turn on the top percentile, I'll just get percentiles. Whereas if I leave it off, like every single result has a name attached to it that I recognize. So, or mostly recognize. And can even put a face to. So it's just nicer. Hack match. Alright, so at this point, it's 11:20 over here. I might be back later, but right now I actually have a scheduled phone call with my parents, which I'm now 5 minutes late to, who are in Germany. So, since this is, well, like it's gonna be my birthday in half an hour, so right now I'll take a break from streaming, and I'll be maybe back later, we'll see. Thanks everyone for watching, and bye.